Welcome back, everybody. Derrick Soo, your 2022 write-in Oakland mayoral candidate. Well, it is October, and this coming week, we should all here in Oakland be receiving our ballots for the mayoral election for the next City of Oakland mayor, and also replacing numerous city council members. Plus, there's a lot of ballot measures to vote on. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to talk about the mayoral candidates here. I'm still one, even though I'm not on the ballot. All the information and placements, everything went to the printers back September 15th. So right now, they're just finishing up printing, and they'll be going out into the mail to all California voters for their elections, for their regions and districts here in our area, Alameda County. We have different measures that are going to be on the ballot. Plus, we have state propositions that we're going to be voting on, and of course the Oakland mayoral race. And we have 10 candidates, and if you look at Google and many of the other information gathering resources, none of the 10 candidates have an advantage over any other than a couple of people. One being he's a racist and anti-Semite, and I'm referring to Peter Liu on that one. He's come out clearly very anti-Semitic, and he continues to this day to push his point, and so that's taken a lot of people away from his audience. When I get his emails, I myself, I may look at it if there's something of interest that I see in the topic. If not, I pretty much delete it because it's not going to be pleasant, whatever he puts out. So I disqualify him as one of the 10 candidates. Then we have, let's go to the city council members who are running for the mayor's position, namely Lauren Taylor, Treva Reed, Sheng Tao, and former City Council President Ignacio de la Fuente. Well, I'm going to start with Ignacio de la Fuente. We've had a colorful past. Decades ago, he vaguely remembers me when we met again at Zanzi when the campaign trail started. And so anyway, I have issues with him. Number one, seeing that the Oakland Police Department issues initiated with him as the city council president. And I'm referring to the Oakland Riders police scandal. And that lasted with the investigation, and then that also put the City of Oakland Police Department on federal oversight. And we've been on federal oversight since 2003. And Ignacio de la Fuente signed that so that the federal government had oversight, and it exists to this day. And only now are we trying to get off of that because there's been so many changes. And one of the biggest change that was the most difficult that the department experienced was the change in culture. The change in culture was a big obstacle, but we finally got past that, and so we're on probation until the early part of the new year, and then they're going to go back, review if there's any more issues. If not, we could be on probation for some additional time, or we could be released from federal oversight. Hopefully it's the latter. And then one of the things that, if you listen to the past mayoral forums where the candidates spoke on their positions, Ignacio de la Fuente talks about old policing, old school policing. Well, that's what got Oakland into trouble. And so I just want to remind folks, he was part of the problem that Oakland experienced. There was one thing that he did help initiate and put into place that I did agree with, but pretty much everything else I disagreed with in terms of policing, because it violated the law somehow, and its appearance in many cases wasn't very good if the outcome didn't go the way that it should have gone. And so Ignacio de la Fuente got Oakland into the position. And then also the other thing that Oakland was experiencing at that time was that there was a series of rape, imprisonment, rape, beatings that were going on. And it finally came down to where it was Ignacio de la Fuente's son, Jr., that was the perpetrator of that. And so that was one of the things that really ended council member, President Ignacio de la Fuente's political career. Then he's been on the board, JPA, the Coliseum Authority Powers Board, and he hasn't done a very good job there either. And yet he wants to come back. He keeps talking about old school policing. He talks about the homeless in a way that he's really out of touch, because there was so much that came out of his mouth about the homeless, which were untrue. They were complete falsehoods, and if you want to find out what they were, just ask me. And Ignacio is out of touch. And so moving on to the next city council member right now, let's go talk about Lauren Taylor. Well, Lauren Taylor was put into place back in 2018, so he's been there for 4 years. He's a city council member that represents District 6, the Mills College area, one of the areas that I grew up in, and that represents where Mills College and a lot of folks that are kind of the middle upper class folks of Oakland, and it's high density residential, a lot of single family homes, very little in the way of multifamily units that are available, and pretty much everywhere up there is zoned for single family homes. But yet Lauren Taylor has not done anything that I can think of, nor can I Google and find that he's done of any substance for District 6. Crime has been very high in his district. We've had a lot of sideshows that were going on and were creating a lot of problems, a lot of criminal activity in District 6. So there were a lot of things. Yes, there were some things that Lauren did for the community. He did help bring in some grant money to some businesses to help keep their doors open. But overall, the streets and roads around District 6, his area, deteriorated and became more hazardous under his stewardship. So what has Lauren Taylor done? And so what comes back to mind is that out of the all 10 candidates for running for the city of Oakland mayor currently, these are all what we would call a settle for candidates, all of them, because there's no front runner, there's nobody in particular that stands out above all the others. And what we get is a lot of political talk and rhetoric but we don't get to hear what they actually bring to the table and the benefits of those ideas and those projects that they're talking about. And one of those, now we move into Shang Tao, where she's constantly, all of a sudden, talking about EIFDs, Enhanced Infrastructure Funding Districts. And these can be used to fund a lot of different projects, but she doesn't know much about it because she went to my friend, Zenny Abraham, who's an expert in this, and helped shape a lot of the EIFDs, TIFs, that tax increment funding projects that have appeared and been funded throughout Oakland. And so Shang is very disingenuous with what she's talking about, because while she talks about EIFDs, okay, well, what are the projects that surround the EIFDs? Are we talking about something at the Oakland Coliseum? Are we talking about something for the waterfront of Oakland? Are we talking about restoring a neighborhood like I've been talking about, building over Highway 980 through the downtown corridor to restore neighborhoods, the low-income neighborhoods of Oakland, the first neighborhoods of Oakland? These were homes in neighborhoods built when the city was founded, 1852. My grandfather on my dad's side lived in one of those homes. And so to make way for Highway 980, there was a neighborhood, a bunch of neighborhoods along a certain path to create the 980 extension going from Highway 580 to the downtown corridor, and then to join up with Highway 880, the Nimitz Freeway at that time. And then that was the speedway to the Oakland Coliseum Arena for the A's games, for football, for basketball, for all the different events that went on at the Coliseum, because at one time the Coliseum was a very vibrant place to hold your venue. And at one point I remember a 2-year waiting list to get into the Oakland Coliseum, the arena. And then we had Day on the Green during the summer, so there were a lot of great events back then, and they all went away. And so we need to bring new ideas, and that is part of one of my 3 EIFDs, Enhanced Infrastructure Funding Districts. I have one for the Coliseum, a district for the 980 corridor, and then a district for Middle Harbor. And Middle Harbor could actually be the new site. Instead of a Howard Terminal, we would have Middle Harbor, a stadium there, and it could be built much like across the bay at Cisco. And so or whatever that stadium is across the bay, that holds the Giants. I'm not a San Francisco baseball fan, as you can see. I'm an Oakland A's. My parents were some of the first families where we held season tickets when the Oakland A's first moved here. So I have a special place in my heart for keeping the Oakland A's in Oakland, but we need to make sure that it's something that can be done without using taxpayer dollars, number one, and number two, creating the housing that the city truly needs. And so those are some of the projects that I bring, and I brought it up to the city council members, and it mostly goes ignored. And then same thing like Wood Street, where the city council members were trying to figure out what to do with the folks, as there's 200 to 400 people at Wood Street on the clearing there. And District 3, Carol Fife, had at one point suggested the former Oakland Army base, a portion that's not being used because whatever architectural reasons by what's that, California Waste System, CWS, who's going to be moving on the site. They're moving there because they've certainly outgrown their other site here in Oakland. And so that that covers the first three. And so we have Treva Reed. Treva Reed, what can I say about her? She was a lobbyist for PG&E, and so I don't like that, and she actually hides that fact from you, the Oakland voters, that she was a lobbyist for PG&E of Northern California. And so she talks about Nancy Skinner's office constantly and the work that she's done there. Well, that's fine. It doesn't offset the work and the harm that she's done with alongside PG&E. And then she was elected to her dad's seat, city council position. Larry Reed retired. Treva Reed now sits in that position, and she's literally just taken the position this year, and before she even does anything for her district, she's already running for mayor and pretty much ignoring issues of District 7. District 7, of which I am here in District 7, and she's pretty much turned her back on me. I was early on working with her and her staff on homeless issues. And then I was even a guest speaker on one of her town hall meetings, and shortly thereafter, for whatever reason, I was cut off from the meetings, from staff, and access to her. So I cannot support Treva Reed either. So that removes all of our city council people from my consideration. And I just want to remind folks, this is my opinion, my experience, and where I am at. So we've removed Peter Liu, we've removed Lauren Taylor, Shane Tao, Treva Reed, Ignacio de la Fuente. So that leaves a few more folks here, but we'll just make it real easy. I do support Alyssa Victory as my third choice in the ranked choice voting. I'll be putting myself in the first and second position for the write-in candidacy, and so I'm going to be writing my name in on first and second position, and then putting Alyssa Victory in the third position. So that's who I'm supporting right now. None of the other candidates, either they don't have a real genuine position on what they bring to the table. I've been very transparent since 2017 on the programs and the things I've been doing here for Oakland without pay, and these are folks that are doing things and they're getting paid for it, and they're not getting the job done for you. I've been working for you and haven't asked for a thing. But today, I'm going to ask you to please support my write-in candidacy by voting for Derrick Soo in the November 8th mail-in ballot for City of Oakland Mayor. Thanks for joining me today. We'll be right back.